Hey everyone, my name is Robert QC. I'm doing a burn demonstration for Alex Gordon's FIP class, doing fire dynamics. I'm going to demonstrate doing fire behavior in one of these dollhouse boxes. I'm going to cover Flashover, Backdraft, the free burning stage, Incipient Stage of fire, and then a flow path. Then also we're going to cover vent at the end of it. This is our fuel load. This would be like our ordinary combustibles. I do have something to light it with, torch. So I'm going to light these on fire as it would start off in a living room. And then the demonstration would be to how fire would spread through the house. So when I first light it, it's going to be the incipient stage of the fire. I'll be lighting a corner of the piece of paper. And then as the fire grows, it will be more of the free burning. And then we're going to try to get it to roll over the ceiling as well. So that would be your incipient stage. All right, we now reached the free burn fire, or stage of the fire, where the contents inside the fire are burning. All right, we're starting to get to the rollover stage of the fire, to where it's coming out the whole. A little more fuel. Now we're going to demonstrate a flashover where all the smoke in the room is going to ignite.
Oh yeah.
Your ladder company is going to come to the roof. Your house is full of smoke. You have to smoke break it down to relieve some of that heat. You're going to come and cut a hole into the roof and punch it through the ceiling. Close. We got a well-bitten fire. We have a hole in the roof. We got open window. We got fire on the first floor. And to try to contain this, we'll be putting the fire out and moving it. I was still on the front side.
Huh?
Try to get in a backdraft. Just a flashover. Oh, we got the gable. Demonstration. Okay, if you're coming from the back of the structure, you got most of the siding and majority outside the house on fire. Some of it hit the outside, put it out. Already has extension from the inside. We can hit it through the room that it already opened up through. And that's pretty much a well-vented fire from the side of the house, not necessarily going through the front door. At this point, we've kind of went through every obstacle of burning this dollhouse. We couldn't get it to backdraft because we got it too involved and too many holes in it. But that's the end of this video. Wind-driven fire and a fully involved fire. This will be pretty much 100% of the structure involved. And the wind out here today is brutal, so it's definitely a wind-driven fire. Well, hello again. This is Robert Husey. I am going to now do the voiceover part of this presentation. I'll be explaining what I covered in the video and what I went over, and I will get into depth of the topics that I covered. I'm also going to cite two resources where I got this information from and the information that I learned. My first citation is from a website called ctif.org. This was actually a very informational website that explained every single topic, like really in depth, in detail. There was a lot of reading, but it was not too complicated. So I feel like this is a really great resource to get in depth in each topic that I cover within fire. The next citation is from the famous firehouseengineering.com. It was actually to learn how to burn in the dollhouse and how to correctly get it to flash, get it to backdraft, get it to do the flow path and like ventilation and stuff like that. So this is a very great website and resource to learn how to demonstrate this project. If you remember in the video, the first thing that I covered, the first topic was the incipient stage of a fire. So in this video, I have fuel built up in a corner, and that fuel, in my eyes, was kind of like your ordinary combustibles in your house that caught on fire, and that started in the incipient stage of a fire. The incipient stage of the fire is the initial or beginning stage of a fire at which it can be controlled or extinguished by portable fire extinguishers, class 2 standpipe, or small hose systems without the need of protective clothing or breathing apparatus. The next stage of fire that I explained in the video was the free burn stage, where all of the contents within that room are fully ignited and freely burning on their own. Similar to what I just said, the free burning stage of a fire is defined as burning in a continuous manner of an electric arc as heat transferred to the anode in free burning arcs. The next part that I covered in the video was rollover. So in that room that the contents were burning in, once that fire hit the free burn stage, the fire started heating up the room. The walls and stuff were to catch fire, and then so that smoke started banking down, and then the the heat would light that smoke, and that's what called your rollover. And so that rollover would um, roll all the way to the ventilation at the point of ventilation. So in this case, it would be considered like the window. I would. The definition of rollover is a stage of a structure fire when fire gases in a room or other enclosed area ignite. Since heated fire gases, the product of pyrolysis, rise to the ceiling, this is where a rollover phenomenon is most often witnessed. So after just covering the topic of rollover, the next topic is actually flashover. And rollover is a sign of flashover or a flashover that is about to occur. So a flashover, in my definition, or of what I'm going to explain in the video, this is the part where I slide back the piece of wood for the room, and when everything ignites and you see that flame outside of what that would be called of a window. So at this point, it is everything in the room has reached its ignition temperature, and all the superheated gases ignite, and that's when you would see like the fire coming out of the window. And so at one point of the videos, or multiple points of the videos, we had every single room flash, and we did that several times in most of the rooms. So since flashover is so important, I do want to talk about it a little bit more in depth than the other topics. So flashover, in order to see signs of it happening, there is thick, dark black smoke that would be velocity pushed. Just that's what people call like that thick, cloudy black smoke. So when you have that, you can start seeing rollover occur. You know that flashover is about to take place, and that everything in that room is going to hit its ignition temperature, and then that flashover will occur. This is something that would happen literally in seconds. It could happen, in just a couple seconds. So the bad part about this, the dangerous part about this, is that flashover kills firefighters because it happens so fast and it's so hot that firefighters sometimes cannot see it coming if they're not reading the signs of smoke and what the smoke is telling them. Flashover, by definition, is the sudden involvement of a room or an area in flames from floor to ceiling caused by thermal radiation feedback. Thermal radiation feedback is the energy of the fire being radiated back to the contents of the room from the walls, floor, and ceiling. And of course, smaller rooms will flash over a lot faster. So I felt like this picture or chart was a really great explanation that is simple as can be to kind of help understand the heat release rate and the energy of a fire. And so really everything we've covered so far, and I didn't really get into the decay part of the fire. I guess I should have. I mean, obviously that would be more when the fire is out and it's dying down per se. So in this chart, it is covering the incipient stage, like I addressed, and then it's increasing in heat, and it is hitting the growth stage, or what I call the free burn stage. That's what I've always called it. That's what I was taught. And so then it starts doing the rollover between the free burn and growth stage, and then when everything in that room hits its ignition temperature, and that's when you would create that flashover, and that would be the hottest point of the room at that time. And that's really when you have a lot of the structural damage and stuff. So I thought this was a good chart to explain the different stages of fire behavior, especially what I've covered so far. So unfortunately, I couldn't get this dollhouse to do a backdraft. By the time pretty much everything, or the time I was trying to do the backdraft, I had trouble because there were so many holes and burnt spots in the house that there just wasn't any room for that to hold a bunch of smoke. So, anyways, I didn't get to do it, but backdraft is a very important topic to cover when it comes to fire behavior. It's not a very common thing on a big scale. You might have backdraft on a room, something like that, but not like a big building or a house where it would level it. Obviously, this stuff is definitely possible of happening. It's just not as common. With that said, a backdraft is when a room or a building is full of smoke and is starving for oxygen. Um, the signs for this is lingering, usually tan color or gray color smoke, and then like it would push through like the eaves and stuff like that. It's not that thick, dark velocity push smoke. It's just kind of barely lingering out through the cracks and stuff. And it's also said that backdraft kind of looks like it's breathing on the side of a building with the smoke. And so, whenever that oxygen is introduced to this area, it ignites and it causes an explosion, and that explosion is called backdraft. And they are very dangerous and they can kill firemen. A backdraft is a rapid or explosive burning of superheated gases in a fire, caused when oxygen rapidly enters an oxygen depleted environment. For example, when a window or door to an enclosed space is open or broken, backdrafts present a serious threat to firefighters. So I'm going to cover flow path and ventilation at the same time because it goes hand in hand with each other. So when we first started this burn, we were just burning in the first floor, um, A B corner, I guess you would say, or BC corner is kind of where this fire originated. So when we started the fire and went through the different stages, it was just burning in that one room, and it vented through the front window per se. So we created a flow path which would be caused in an actual fire from some type of opening between walls. This could be an actual burnt area, a doorway, some type of opening between walls that would allow fire to flow down this path. So in this scenario, um, the opening between the walls allowed the fire to go into the second room that was on the first floor. And then there was a hole between the first and second floor on more of the D side of the structure, as you would say. So that created the fire to go into the second floor. And then whenever I said in the video that a ladder company would come at that time and ventilate the roof, they would cut a hole and then punch the ceiling, and that would create that flow path from what would first start at the first floor, then go to the second room, then go upstairs, then through the attic, and then coming out the roof. So obviously in this scenario, the most practical thing was not creating that flow path to the roof. It would be creating that flow path to cause the least amount of damage. Because the fire already ignited everything at that point in time, we created a flow path just to relieve all that fuel or all that smoke. So now the important part of any type of project for school is what did I actually learn or what did I take away from this project. And I would honestly say I feel more comfortable if I were to do this presentation for the second time. So I learned, I guess, how to better present in this dollhouse setting, even though the topics of The fire behavior I went over is pretty familiar to me. I think of how I could explain it the next time would be a lot easier, and I would be better at it, especially after doing this research. So also the flow path of how it worked within this structure, it kind of gave me a better picture of some of the fires I've been on and maybe why it extended to that certain room. And even though I've understood it on that fire, I thought about it a different view, seeing it in this dollhouse. And I've seen this dollhouse burn one other time, but it was not explained during the process. It was just pretty much light the entire dollhouse on fire. So, anyways, this is the end of my project. I hit the 20-minute mark. I explained everything, and I am done. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.